push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley here with you, flying Han Solo on this galactic trip into an unbelievable Sports Tuesday. Glad you're with me. Appreciate you joining me here today. We got a lot to talk about, including, you know what day it is. It's Tuesday. It means that we got to break down kind of the scoring, the points of the football teams. We talked about the power rankings yesterday. Well, I guess Richie and Romo did. I was on assignment in Trumbull County. We will talk about the scores and kind of how things have progressed and where teams are ranked as according to their points and how things kind of shook up last week with some of the upsets, some of the teams that separated themselves from the pack. And some people that are not going to be happy no matter where they are if they're not ranked number one overall. All that and more we will talk about on today's Power Hour. But first, we must get to on this day in sports history because we got a double dose. All right, so on this day in sports history, this is a very interesting one because it's September 27th, if you'd haven't known, by the time it's, 3 o'clock here Eastern time. I feel bad for you. Two big things have happened, both in baseball on this day in sports history. First, we'll start in 1992. The Pittsburgh Pirates, yes, my beloved Pittsburgh Pirates, win their third straight NL East title. That would, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, be their last. In the last title that they would bring in. The only thing they gauge close to is a couple wild card berths in just a few years ago with the Neil Walker, Andrew McCutchen era under Clint Hurdle. So my question with that is how, why, where did we go wrong from that standpoint? Where did the Pirates kind of fall off the map in that category? It's been a long time coming for Pirates fans. I know it's been a long time, and Browns fans are sitting there saying, oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo, DJ. We're crying about we missed championships, and, we've never had one. Listen, as much as it might pain me as a Steeler fan, your championship is coming. It's coming. I don't think it's coming in the next 5 years, but it will come. Some of these guys, you got to get out of there. You got to get, to me, the ownership, you got to get out of there. It's the same as the Pirates in baseball. Pirates will not win. I promise you. And Siggy, I know you're out there. I know you're watching. The Pirates will not win with Bob Nutting at the helm of this ship. There is no way. He won't let it happen. He'll sell the farm before it happens. If it happens, I'll eat my hat. And this one in particular because it's a Cleveland hat. But I got to celebrate the Guardians, baby. I got to celebrate the 216. I got to celebrate that because it's good baseball, and Tito Francona did us a real solid the other day. So when you're good people and you do good things, you will get my support regardless of what colors you wear. But the Pirates, man, 1992, the last time they win a division championship, does not bode well. I was in second grade. does not bode well for fans like myself in the future. I know Sigler's been a fan longer than I have. I know plenty of Pirates fans that have been fans longer than I have, and they've just been waiting and waiting and waiting, and it doesn't look good, my friends. It doesn't look good at all. But the second dose of On This Day in Sports History, have to give to you because there's a local tie. 1996. Does anybody remember this? I do vividly. Baltimore Oriole star Roberto Alomar spits in the face of an umpire. Does anybody remember who it was? Anybody at all? Local standout guy and stand-up guy from out of Poland, John Hirschbeck, was the guy that unfortunately had gotten spit in his face from Roberto Alomar, who became a Cleveland Indian. And they had that dynamic duo of Alomar and Vizquel in the middle. Yes, sir, Mr. Niddle. Hirschbeck, you're all over that one. I remember watching this on TV, and 100%, I'm watching it happen. And like when you're parents and you have the TV remote control and somebody says something that you weren't expecting, and your kids are watching it, and they always repeat it. That's how, my dad was way ahead of this, as was my mom. Don't you ever spit on anybody, especially people in positions of power like umpires or teachers. Like, that is not acceptable. Like I did it. They acted like I actually performed the act, and it wasn't Roberto Alomar. It was DJ Yoakley. And I just remember, Siggy says, still have nightmares of 92. I just remember seeing this happen. And it was publicized so much because at that point, 1996, ESPN wasn't new, but it was new to the generation of, my generation. We were finally able to kind of click on the remote a little bit. We were old enough to get the remote, and it was constantly on the ESPN. And at that time, I think CNN SI was still around. For those of you who remember the 24-hour sports news network, CNN SI, CNN Sports Illustrated. And I ate it up. I'm sitting there. I could not get enough sports at that point, but I remember that vividly. Both of those actually very vividly as I was kind of growing up. So big day in sports history today. And obviously you're going to get a ton of baseball because baseball season's wrapping up. And I think Alomar has been, as we get back to Roberto, he has not been let into the Hall of Fame for not only just some of that stuff, even though he's one of the best second basemen to ever live. But he's had some other kind of controversy around his name as well. So that is absolutely bananas. As Coach Niddle chiming in says, it was crazy. John was one of the nicest human beings too. Still is. And Kristen saying Alomar has not been let into the Hall of Fame because of some of his antics that have been going around. First, want to start the show with a special thank you to Richie and to Romo for filling in for me yesterday. Greatly appreciated, boys. You knocked it out of the park to the point where people don't even want me on the show anymore. And guess what? I'm okay with it. I'm here for it because you guys were phenomenal yesterday. Thank you so much. You did a bang-up job of covering A to Z right here on the Ysn Power Hour. That's why people tune in. They tune in to be educated. They tune in for entertainment. They tune in for information. And Richie and Romo, as always, deliver two of the best in the entire business. So thank you, boys, for educating and stepping in and not only filling my shoes, but surpassing them. I mean, if I'm wearing a 10.5, you guys filled it up to about a 13 yesterday, and you dunked it right on everybody's head. So thank you very much for all of that. Today, again, we're going to try to make Tuesdays the day we talk about computer points in football. And it's one of those things where our power rankings come out. There was a lot of controversy yesterday. South Range taking over the top spot. Let me see if I can find that real quick and put it up for you and just reference it, right? We're not going to sit on it for an hour or whatever people are complaining about. But we're going to reference it and just trying to draw comparisons to it. Here it is right here. Here we go. Okay, so we have South Range taking over at number 1 at 6-0. Austintown Fitch loses to Massillon. Well, there's a lot of respect. I mean, Massillon, one of the top Massillon Washington, that is, one of the top teams in the state. The only blemish on Fitch's record to this point. They're at number 2. Ursuline at number 3. They jumped right back up the charts as quickly as they fell off in voters' minds. With that win over Cheney, they hopped right back, not only to the top of the charts, but over top of Cheney at number 3. Cheney falls to number 4. Canfield in at number 5 after an impressive win. And I think a lot of questions surround, and we'll talk about that later, but a lot of questions surround what's going to happen this week. What's going to happen with Canfield right now, as of Tuesday at 3:11 p.m., not having an opponent on Friday night or Saturday. What's going to happen with Canfield? Will it affect the power rankings? Will it affect the computer rankings? We'll find out, as the week progresses. Lowville, another team that people are just talking about. Vinny Ballone and the crew just continue to impress people. It shouldn't get much more challenging this week as they take on Sebring. And I think Vinny has a possibility of, if he wants to, going for the state record that he tied just 2 weeks ago. He can probably put the hammer down and get a 10 spot if he really wanted to do so. It all comes down to, what does it look like for Lowville? Do they want to take a chance and leave him in for the entirety of that game? Will it be a game? There's a lot of people, a lot of questions around Sebring right now, and the numbers, and not the will. The kids want it. Coaches want it. It's just a matter of, do they have the sheer numbers to match up against Lowville? That's the matchup this week. Lowville shouldn't have any problem, but you know what? That's why they play the game. Orange AFK slides down from 4 down to 7. I think that's a legit, played a very good Mogador team that they've seemingly always had issues with, not only JFK, but in the Valley. They slide down to 7. Then you got West Branch, who's just been kind of, I don't want to say on cruise control, but they've only had that one big game over Canfield. Or I guess they lost to Canfield, rather. And that's the blemish on their record. They're on a 5-game streak right now, and they can't get into the good graces of any of the voters. We'll see how they stack up at the computer points in just a few moments. But West Branch has been stuck on 8 for a minute. Then you got Valley Christian, 6-0, and you got Southern Local, 6-0. 2 teams, obviously, from the EOAC, 2 teams on a mission, and on a crash course towards each other. That comes up in week 8. I think everybody's excited about it. Certainly we will be. That'll be our quote-unquote game of the week, as we will put a lot of focus in on those 2 games, or on that game, rather, on those 2 teams. And I think the biggest thing that people need to realize when you're talking about Valley Christian and Southern, Edison's there too. Edison received votes to get in, just not enough. And Southern, I think, with Richie seeing Southern in person, was able to sway a few votes along the way. And the way that they beat Wellsville last week was the exclamation point. That was a Wellsville team. We heard from Moose Ramsey on Thursday night, don't forget about Wellsville. Don't forget about Wellsville. Southern didn't forget about Wellsville. Southern showed up and they said, we know exactly who you are, so we're going to put you away early and often and turn the lights out here in Salineville real quick. And that's exactly what they did. Amo says West Branch and Southern have the most to gain the next 4 weeks. That's interesting. That's an interesting point, Amo. Out of those 10 teams, I can agree with you. I think, I'll be honest with you, I think Girard got a little bit shafted. I think Girard, a lot of people saw how South Range beat Girard, and I'm not saying that they went a little above and beyond for Raider Nation, but I think it was an emphasis game. There was a lot of people taking Girard to win that game across picks. We did it too, right? Across the board. People thought, Girard has the ability. They have the talent. And they certainly do. But it's like I told every single person, and it's not that Girard didn't get up. It was that South Range gets up in a different way when they're focused. And Girard can look at that game 2 weeks ago and thank Struthers for poking the bear. Because if, and this is complete guess, right? If Struthers walks into that game and you see South Range just walk all over Struthers, the Wildcats, they walk all over Poland. A lot of injuries for the Bulldogs. they get into that game, and I bet you, and you can't bet on high school sports, so I don't bet you, but I would be willing to wager a skittle that Girard has a different beat. And what I mean by that, not that South Range would fall asleep at the wheel, but that Struthers game woke up South Range to the point where you're sitting there and you're wondering what team you're watching. I was at the game. Gary Niddle and I called that game. And I wondered what team I was watching that particular night. Struthers brought it. They brought it to the front door. And I think some of the conversations inside that locker room, inside that Raider football team, was straight up, what team do we want to be? We can be as good as we want to be. Seemingly everybody's talking about Kirtland leaving, D5 going to D6. I still think there are some challenges there in D5 for South Range that they have to get through. I don't even want to talk about the playoffs because I know tonight when I sit down with Coach Yeagley, he's going to give me a little harder handshake and a harder hug because he's focused right now on this Niles team, because this is a dangerous Niles team. I don't care what anybody says on paper. South Range has got to remain focused. They have to remain focused if they want to do some of the things that they have put on their to-do list, their wish list, if you will, their checklist, their goals, whatever you want to call it. South Range has a long way to go. And we're going to talk about the South Range Raiders a lot more because I was surprised that that many people actually put South Range as number one over top of Austintown Fitch. And I knew that was going to ruffle some feathers. I knew that was going to be big. And we've got people, you guys have to split this up. This isn't fair. How can you put a D5 team over a D2 team? It's based off, at least how I judge, how I put my picks in my selections. It's based off strength of schedule, who you beat, who you lose to, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. It's based off of what division are you? Do teams fear you? That's a power ranking to me. These teams aren't going to play each other a lot of times, right? You get lucky. You get the Ursuline Cheney. You get, Fitch and Ursuline. You get some of these matchups where the top 10 will play each other, but a lot of times they won't. And it's like I tell people all the time, the power rankings for us is like watching Rocky Balboa. And I'm talking about the movie, like the one where he's old. And you're playing video games and it's, man, who would win if this team played this team? That's why it's fun to have one team. Or one power ranking. It's fun to have one power ranking. Do I think we can expand it? Yes. Do I think we will expand it? Yes. I think we roll into 25 next year. And I think we do it the right way. Do I think, is it a situation where I want everybody to be on it? No. But I still think everybody looks at that top 10 list as these are the teams. And either we miss somebody and, hell or high water, you're going to hear my opinion, which I love. Bring it. I'm here for it. We're all here for it. We want to hear those opinions because you might set off something and you might go, they're right. They're right. This gentleman, this young lady, they're right. Didn't think of it from that angle. Didn't see it from that lens. They're right. Or it could be a little bit of home cooking. I love the support that everybody has for Austintown Fitch. People are acting like we're not Fitch supporters. Like we love Austintown Fitch. We wouldn't have fought to keep Austintown Fitch this spring, had we not liked them. And I think that there's a predetermined disrespect that if Austintown Fitch isn't number one, how would you ever do that? And I respect that. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I also have to answer to people that are saying, with all due respect, how does a 5-1 team better than a 6-0 team? That the closest anybody's come is still double digits on the scoreboard. And I can't argue with that. I'll be completely transparent. South Range got my number one vote this week. This is the first time I voted South Range number one this year. This year. People sit there and they're saying, well, this is all Yoakley. This is, no. We can show you the votes. We can show them how it lines up. This week, South Range is my number one team. And it's going to be very difficult to overthrow them without them losing. Fitch plays a tough schedule, brutal schedule, to the point where we have talked about it. TJ's talked about it. I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow when Steve Leslie and Quinn Pushkar sit down with Coach Parker and three of the seniors, and they talk about this schedule and how it's been a challenge, but how it's preparing them for the future. They could care less about power rankings. They should care less about power rankings. They got bigger things in mind. And I think the Raiders will tell you the same thing. This is for the kids. Yeah, they see it. They push it around. We've seen it on Instagram being, somebody's calling for my job. Come get it. Come get it. Like I'm please come explain to me how you would put anybody else in that one spot other than a Lowville, a Valley Christian, or Southern, or Edison for that matter. All teams undefeated. How are any of these teams that are one loss doing a better job than teams that don't have any losses? And we're going to hear strength of schedule. And we've pushed that. But I would argue South Range has a pretty damn good schedule too. Who's going to see their schedule as a D5 team playing almost every single team, every single week? I mean, I think Springfield's the only team that they've actually played down. But that's a natural rivalry. I'm not making an excuse. That's just what it is. I think they're the only team that has done that week in and week out, other than maybe JFK. Everybody else, it's even keel. It's Division 2 if you're Division 2, Division 3 if you're Division. I mean, it's across the board. Ursuline played down, and nobody's beating them up. I mean, we talk about their schedule all the time. Fitch, they've got a tough schedule. They're playing teams from out of the state, to which we've already responded. It's really hard to play apples to apples with teams you have no idea how good they are. It throws a wrench in the system. But at the end of the day, this isn't for playoff spots. But you know what is? These computer points. So, as always, our good friend, the Swami of YSN, Mike Swinehart, broke down 32 YSN schools that would make the playoffs if they started right meow. And as always, we will break it down backwards so we can keep the suspense, keep the drama for your mama, as they say. Number 32. Let's catch up on a comment here real quick. I like to look at it, which team right now can make the deepest run in the playoffs. Somehow that always ends up as Mineral Ridge to Gary Niddle. Right, Nitz? Amo says West Branch has as well one D5 school in Ridgewood, and they play 5 D3 teams. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, West Branch, I think, will make their biggest hay. To your point, Amo, they will make their most hay in weeks 8, 9, and 10. 8, 9, and 10. Especially 10. Even though people are down on Salem right now, I think they make their most hay always at that last game of the season. When you throw those records out, doesn't matter, and bam. Where did West Branch come from? I mean, I feel like everybody's always, where did West Branch come from? How did anybody not know this team was this good? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. And we certainly have followed every single step of the way for the Warriors. Yeah, I see you, Nits. All right, 32. Number 32. If the playoffs were to start right now, these are the computer points as they are, and there are 32 teams that would make the playoffs from YSN-affiliated schools, from the YSN family. Number 32, the Wellsville Football Tigers. In Division 7, Region 25, they are number 16, which tells you There's number 16 teams get in the playoffs. Wellsville, even after getting trounced by Southern, there's still hope there in Tiger Country. There's still a thread to be pulled that they can utilize. There's still a lifeline. There's still a little bit of a heartbeat. They're number 16. They have opportunity knocking. I don't think I have to look at their schedule because it's a little confusing when you have over 60 of these. I'm not the schedule guy. That's Quinn. I still think Leetonia's on. Not that they're going to get many points from there. I believe, and this might be troubling, I believe Valley Christian's still on the schedule ahead, which could be trouble. That could be trouble for Wellsville. They're going to have to figure some stuff out fast, but they're still in it. There's still a heartbeat. They've got 2.61 points. Number 16. Keep that in mind. Number 31, Pymatuning Valley. D6, Region 21. They're listed at number 14 with 3.06 points. Pie Valley, living on the edge. Number 14, I love it. And they have slobber knocker football, man. That is buckle your chin strap twice and let's get ready to go. Pymatuning Valley comes in at number 31. Number 30, the Lakeview Bulldogs. D5, Region 17, they are listed at number 16. So the Bulldogs, again, like Wellsville, holding on to that hope, holding on to anything that they can grab onto. Such a strong start. You know, they felt like they were having it. We talked to kids. We talked to the leaders of the pack, so to speak. And these guys believe. They put the time in the weight room. They put the time in across the board. Cortland is believing in the Bulldogs this year. It's going to be tough sledding. You still got South Range. You still got some of the top tier talent. I mean, you just got beat by Poland. That's going to be that's going to be detrimental. But they're hanging on there at 16. If they can get a win somewhere, if they can find it, Lakeview could be in. Lakeview could be in. They're part of that D5 as well. Region 17, like I said, number 16 with 3.61 points. Do a couple more. We'll take a break. The Lisbon Blue Devils. Big win over East Palestine. Blank the Bulldogs. They're in D7, Region 25, number 12. Lisbon, I think 3 wins, 3-3 at this point. We'll be there next week for the YSN prime time as the Spaghetti Bowl takes place. You got to believe that Lisbon's the favorite in that this year. Leetonia just had a tough year. Like, ridiculously tough year. And we're not going to poke fun at the Bear, no pun intended. But Lisbon has to be favored in that game. The problem is you're not going to get much in the way of points from a Leetonia this year. Is it better? Is it better to not play that game? Just a little food for thought. We're going to talk about it with Canfield. Is it better? Is it more beneficial as we see coaches start doing the old hokey pokey with their schedules nowadays? Is it more beneficial to not play that game? To have the smaller divisor? I don't know. Just a question. We have some comments here. Siggy says, Wellsville at United still. That's going to be a tough game. United is on Wellsville. Yep. Listen, I'm not counting out United by any means. To me, they're one of the best one-loss teams in the entire area. Never count out DJ Ogilvy and the Golden Screaming Eagles of Hanoverton. But the Lisbon Blue Devils, don't let them get hot. People are going to look at that Valley game and say, Lisbon's having a tough year. No, Trevor Sifke at Q? Austin Daly, he can make some plays. Hands down. Just be ready. Be ready for those Lisbon Blue Devils. Be ready because they're sitting at number 12 in D7 Region 15 with 3.95 points. Here's number 28. And don't you know I told you so? Don't you know I've sat here at the beginning of the year and said they might not get off to a good start, but here they sit at number 28, the Springfield by God Tigers, D7 Region 25, number 11 with 4 points. Started off no wins. Started off tough. Sean Guerrero is a fighter. He will find a way. The Tigers, pardon me, the Tigers, even though they've had some adversity that they haven't had over the last 3-4 years, maybe longer, I told you the Tigers would be there. Arguably, at number 11, the most dangerous number 11 in the entire state, if it were to end right now. There's not many teams that would sign up to play Springfield at number 11. I don't care if it's home or not. It's still the Springfield Tigers. That name carries a lot of swag and a lot of fear in a lot of teams. Number 27, just above Springfield, Jackson Milton, D6, Region 21. They're listed at number 12 with 4.2 points. Let me tell you something about Jackson Milton. There's a lot of people that have jumped off that bandwagon. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. I love what this team does. I love that they score a lot. Obviously, they didn't score as much as Lowville did, but they still score a lot. I think they're averaging close to 40 points a game. Ladies and gentlemen, you have not seen the end of Jackson Milton. They've got a huge game, which I'll preview on Channel 21 in the Ainsley Heating YSN preview. I'm telling you, this Ridge game, we're talking to Brian Shaner tomorrow at Post Office Pub. This Ridge game has a lot to do with maybe who goes to the postseason and who doesn't. It has a lot to do with who might be able to catch Lowville and who doesn't. Lowville's got to slip up. Does that happen? If it happens, who's sitting there waiting? Ladies and gents, this is one you want to turn into. This is one that you're going to want to make sure you're on there at 7 o'clock, prepped and ready. Jackson Milton and Mineral Ridge, because Jackson Milton's number 12 in D6. Let's not forget that. And they've got an offense that can put up 40 points a game at the drop of a hat. Chiavi, he's a dude. He's a dude. And they've got 30 of them. They've got guys that step up because they believe in the J. They believe in what their team represents. I love it. I'm excited for it. Again, I'm here for it. I love these smaller schools playing each other and going toe-to-toe. Who knows? A win this week might propel one of those teams into the power rankings. They're already in playoffs at number 12. They got some breathing room in Division 6 with 4.2 points. Let's go to D4 real quick with number 26. That's Hubbard. Region 13, number 14, 4.56 points. Hubbard. I picked them across the board. Like, I'm not going to be the Struthers game, the Poland game. They play South Range week 10. I think that I'm not going to say it's a trap game, but I think it's almost a catapult game for Hubbard, because you're going to know pretty quickly if you're Hubbard week 10 playing South Range, you're going to know if you're in the playoffs, and you're going to know how close you are. Right now they're 14, so they have some room. They got 2 slots below them. But you have to believe that they're going to throw the kitchen sink at South Range if they're sitting there at 15 or 16. Because if their season depends on it, don't expect South Range to just go in and roll over. They've already been lack of focus one time this year, they're not going to have it 2 times because they might not survive it. Even though you lose to Hubbard, it's a bigger school. That's not the South Range way. That's not South Range football. I'll tell you that right now. And Hubbard isn't going to go in there packing the white flag and trying to wave it at halftime. I can promise you that. That's not the Hubbard way either. Let's take a break. We come back 25-1. We'll go number 25 to number 1 in the computer rankings, the computer polls here on YSN. Don't you dare go anywhere. Your favorite team is coming up right after this.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com
or find us on Facebook.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa.
And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing.
Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships.
We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team.
Your goals, our game plan.
Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you, flying solo. Thanks for being a part of the show. We were just in the middle of kind of breaking down the computer points and where teams are right now, what they have to do, where they're projecting right now. Are they green arrow or are they red arrow, or are they just sitting neutral? We're at number 25, where champion falls in. D5, region 17, number 15 with 4.6 points. So the champion Golden Flashes have been a team that we have loved watching over the last, well, I guess the first 6 weeks. A team that trying to find their identity, a team that continues to scrap and claw and just find a way to not only stay in games, but win some of those games. And they come in at number 15 in D5 region 17. So what does that mean for them? It means they need some big wins. It means they need some teams that maybe they lost to get some big wins, some teams that they beat to get some big wins, because Joey Fell is a national treasure. This young man is someone who, if you have not ever seen him play, ladies and gents, focus up. Focus up, because he is a prime time player. He's a kid. He's a guy. He's a dude that you're going to want to watch. He can play essentially anywhere on the field. You can find him. Typically, he's their quarterback. Typically, he's the guy with the ball in the hand because he's a playmaker. And typically, he's making those plays. A big dog of the valley, a stud, a guy that we've had on our radar for a few years now in multiple sports. Joey Fell and the Golden Flashes come in at number 25. Number 24. Oh, boy. DJ Doda, the first-year head coach out at Boardman, has the Spartans knocking on the door of getting into the playoffs in his first year, which is something that Boardman believed in naturally, but a lot of us were scratching our head. What's left? What's left in the cupboard for Boardman to take care of right now? We thought it was a bridge year. We thought it was a year that perhaps Boardman doesn't give up, but they look towards 2023 as opposed to focusing on 2022. Not going to happen. DJ Dota says there's a window open. Let's break it. Let's make sure that when that door gets knocked on of opportunity, instead of just light tap one of these, we're kicking it down. And that's what the Spartans are doing. Yes, they're number 16. Yes, it's 5.4 points. Do not get excited about it. No. We're getting excited about it because these kids need motivated. They need pumped up to walk into the rest of their schedule, the final 4 weeks, knowing that there's opportunity waiting for them to get into week 11 when nobody expected them to do so. Nobody thought that the Boardman Spartans could pull off this wherever they are, right? They're in D2. Sure, you might get the number 1 seed. Sure, it might be a short, but listen, you guys hear that? Throw up the Hulk Hogan hand. You guys hear that? That's opportunity. Last year, a 16 beat a 1. Who says Boardman can't do it? Who says they can't get to 15 or 14? Boardman, your number 24 team with 5.4 computer points in Region 5 of Division 2. How about D6? Let's talk a little D6 right now. Everybody knows Kirtland. Everybody's, oh boy, Kirtland fell out of 5 to 6. They're waiting there for him. You think DJ Ogilvy and United are worried about Kirtland? No, not right now. They're worried about going out and proving night after night, Friday after Friday, Saturday if they got to play it. They're worried about winning ball games in the EOAC right now. The EOAC is one of the, people will argue, the weaker conferences. The bottom teams are bottom. But the top teams, I'm telling you, don't count out the United Eagles. DJ Ogilvy, one of the most respected coaches in all of the area. That was a former Boardman coach. He's went and coached down in Florida. And now he's got the Eagles believing. They have some big dudes on their front lines. I'm telling you, they'll move you. They'll move you. Size matters when it comes to offensive lines. Ask any coach. First dude's off the bus. United in at number 11 in Division 6, Region 21 with 5.43 points. So they are trending in the right direction. They still have a meeting with Southern Local left on their template, left on their ballot, but I'm sure they won't let that one slip away. They're going to be hyped up for that one. They're worried about finishing in the top 8. They want a home game. I heard for the first time that people don't like going to United because of the natural grass. Teams do not like going and playing on natural grass because they're so used to playing on turf. 5 years ago, you would have told me that would never happen. Turf was still on the rise. Now everybody has turf, seemingly, especially in Northeast Ohio. Get these games in. There's not as much damage, if any, to turf fields. But we're talking about D6 with United. How do we not talk about D6, Region 21, number 10, Brookfield? Whew, okay. Brookfield, I'm telling you right now, we had them listed high in our power rankings to start the preseason power rankings. Brookfield is a team that you do not want to play in the playoffs. Pulowski at QB. That kid is so good. So good. Can beat you with his arm. Can beat you with his legs. They've got some angry guys up front. They've got some dudes pushing bodies that they got no business pushing. These kids are believing. These kids understand the assignment, as the kids say. Brookfield on the rise. Green arrow up. Up, 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 up. I like Brookfield a lot. A lot going into the home stretch here. So tied at number 20, the Mineral Ridge Rams in D6, Region 21. They're number 8 with 5.98 points. The same exact score as Poland in D4, Region 13, and Poland's number 10. So right now, Ridge in D6 would have a home game. Mineral Ridge. Brian Shaner and his Rams would have a home game if the season ended right now. Nobody, all the liars out there will tell you that they saw Mineral Ridge coming. Gary Niddle, I will give him many pieces of credit. He said, don't count out the Rams since week 1. I think he's the only one. I think he's the only one that hasn't sat there and said that it's fool's gold. Ridge hasn't beaten this team or that team or this team or that. It doesn't matter. They're sitting there with number 8. They've beaten somebody. They're beating somebody to put them in an opportunity to have a home game in the D6 playoffs. Something that Brookfield doesn't have, who we were hyping up. Something that United doesn't have, who we were hyping up. Mineral Ridge, they have a chance to layeth the smacketh down this week on a 4-1 team. Jackson Milton, a team in the MVAC that they know very well. They've got a chance. Again, opportunity knocks, and that's going to be a game that that'll be on in the South Range booth on Friday night. I guarantee you. Apologies. Poland, also tied at number 20. D4, Region 13, number 10. The Poland Bulldogs get a huge win at home last week, bouncing back off of that game against South Range. I think I don't know if they're still injured. Somebody's going to have to help me out with that. But if they're getting healthy, if the Poland Bulldogs get healthy right now and moving forward into week 8, 9, 10, not only the Poland Bulldogs going to be a problem for opposing teams, the Poland Bulldogs could be the problem for many teams down the stretch. You think if they get 3 more wins, let's say, right? Or let's say 4 more wins, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I don't know their schedule. I'm not looking at it right now. But let's just look, 7, 8, 9, 10. They've already played South Range. That game's behind them. They've already played Hubbard, right? So Hubbard or Lakeview. I always get those two confused. I want to say it was probably Lakeview. Anyway, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's say they get 4 wins. Hubbard's 10 right now. They can host a home game where they are so dangerous. Any team that goes in to the house that Banfield built will tell you they are the most dangerous team to play in their house. Something about that field, something about Pavlansky Field just scares people. Weird things happen at that field. Good teams don't play great at that field, except Poland. Poland always plays well at the Pav. Don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on the Bulldogs. If you're D4, do not sleep on them. This is not the Bulldog team that we're accustomed to, but it's a Bulldog team that is scary dangerous right now and could be even more dangerous in week 11. Edgewood, D4, Region 13, number 8, home game potentially for the Warriors. 6.3 points. These cats just keep coming out and playing ball. Sam Torres, our main cat. Well, he and Ryan. I can't say that one's main cat. They're our main guys out in Ashtabula County. I'm going to steal his tagline. Get busy, young fella. And that's what Edgewood is doing. Edgewood getting busy and taking advantage of every opportunity that's thrown their way. They can sit there and host a home game at the Wood. I like it. Conneaut, right there with them. D5, Region 17, number 9 at 6.7 points. They're sitting there just outside. Like I said, number 9, opportunity to have a home game. Got to win some more games. Got to beat some teams. They're not afraid of the teams in that region. We know the teams in that region. We'll talk about the teams in that region. Conneaut going to slip in there and might be a problem for some of those top half teams. Especially, I mean, you look at number 8. I'm wondering who that is. I don't know if we have him. We'll have to take a look a little deeper into it. But an 8-9 matchup? Not exactly the beneficiary if you're the number 8 and you get a home game and you play the 9 team, because there's a lot of turmoil when it comes down to computer points and how you get them. Number 17, another Ashtabula team. D2, Region 5, number 13, Lakeside Dragons. 6.78 points. Lakeside, we heard about how good they can be. We heard about they're battling. Sammy told us they're battling injuries. They're just trying to kind of keep it together like MacGyver with duct tape and chicken wire and bubble gum and all that good stuff. Just trying to hold it together until they can get the troops back. Rally the troops. Get the Dragons back. So with that, they're the number 17, D2, Region 5, number 13 on this list with 6.78. Oh, guys, I told you not to count out Salem. You know why? Number 16, D4, Region 13, number 7 with 7.34 points. The Salem Quakers. Everybody is off that ship. I'm telling you, we talked about it in the booth on Friday night. Richie and I, we were looking at the Alliance score, beating Salem, and I told him everybody is going to be jumping on the life rafts like it's the Titanic on Salem. There were it's unbelievable. Alliance is a very good team this year. They're going to give West Branch problems. They're going to give them fits. Salem, they don't have the weapons they did last year. And it's not like they're looking back and saying, oh, woe is me. They're trying to fix it. But it's very challenging to replace a young man who's playing on Saturdays in Columbus. Blaze Exline is not a guy that you can easily replace. The speed, the leadership, the ability, the know-how, the football IQ. Jackson Johnson, he's doing his damnedest. These Quakers are working hard, and you can see it because they're sitting at number 7. They would have a home game at SEBO Stadium right now if it all ended today. And people here are not even looking at the Quakers. And I'm sure that Ron John is cool with that. Fine. Don't look at us. That chip on our shoulder that Salem people have anyway is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you step into our dojo, we'll show you some Kung Fu. Salem, your number 16 team here on YSN. Leads us to number 15. Easy math. We got to get through these. Garfield, D5, Region 17. They're number 7. The G-Men are a real threat. I was listening to the show yesterday. Romo talked about Garfield and immediately said D5. And I went, If I'm a South Range fan, that's the team I don't want to see. My region. Garfield doesn't care who you are. They don't care where you've been. They don't care where you want to go. Garfield's a team that is going to step up. I mean, it's like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Warrior. It's the dude that plays Bane in Batman, Tom Hardy. His character. He just shows up, take care of business. That's Garfield. Show up, take care of business. They're listed at number 15 with 7.65 points. Valley Christian, D6, Region 21. They're listed at number 4. Home game for the Hakester. If it all ended right now. 7.9 points. Valley Christian, a team that there was a lot of people. One guy in particular. How can you vote Valley Christian so low? How can you vote Valley Christian so low? This is a disgrace. I get it, man. Listen, I'm a big Valley fan. I'm a big-time fan of all these teams. The next team as well, Southern, at number 13, right? That game next week at Southern, at the Wigwam, that's going to be something. That's going to be something. That's going to be some great football. And people sitting there going, the EOAC, what do they know about football? That's just, a bunch of teams to talk about yesteryear. they're going to show you something about football. These guys are going to get up and play. If you haven't seen Southern play, shame on you. That's the wing T run to perfection. If you haven't seen Valley play, that's athletes for days. Great coaching on both sides. That's why this is going to be so fun to watch. Cannot wait for the 14 and 13 team in Southern's in D7, Region 25. They're ranked at number 4 as well. But the two number 4 teams playing each other, it's going to go a long way. Going to go a long way. Above the Indians, you have the Beavs of Beaver Local, D4, Region 13, number 5, a home game. If it all ended today for the Beavers, a slow start, but it's not how you start, baby. It's how you finish. And the Beavers are on a warpath right now. They are building dams left and right, clogging up people's gutters, clogging up people's homes. They are taking every opportunity to beat down the naysayers as they possibly can. So Beaver Local coming in at number 12 for us in D4, Region 13. They're at number 5 with 8.08 points. Lowville, the team right above them, a team that we don't need to talk about much because they don't need an introduction. We talk about them all the time because of a guy named Vinny Balone. Now it's going to be interesting because they play Sebring this week, a team that has really been searching for anything they can get their hands on when it comes to winning. D7, Region 25, number 2, the Lowville Rockets. Congratulations, Rockets. Number 10, we're in the top 10. We're going to zoom past these because we talk about these teams all the time anyway. That's what we get hit on. Team we don't talk about a lot, Edison. Team that I think that people forget about a lot because they think of Edison of 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The Edison that couldn't put wins together. This Edison team, pretty doggone tough. 6-0. Division 5, Region 17. Number 5. That'll be a fun matchup. That'll be a home game for Edison. They keep on keeping on. Number 9, West Branch, D4, Region 13. They're at number 3 with 10.4 points. Warriors. I mean, what can't you say about the Warriors? We talked about it on Running Point today. Community always shows up, shows out for them, and the kids put on a show. They entertain, and they educate people on what it's like to play Warrior football. And by golly, gee whiz, that Drew DeShields is something else too. A young man headed to D1 to play some football on Saturdays. It's going to be fun watching him down the stretch, especially Week 10 against the Salem Quakers. The game, and to me, the best rivalry in all of our area, it's West Branch and Salem. That one, you always throw out the records. Doesn't matter where they are, where they stand. Heading down to number 8, Jefferson, a team that continues to surprise people. D4, Region 13, they're listed at number 2 with 10.98 points. All but official that they're going to the postseason. Congratulations to Jefferson. They're not done yet. Bet the bottom dollar, bet the mortgage that this team is not done. Not even close. Coach Hanna has these guys fired up. The Red Lids this year, they've got Grant Hitchcock, who has been flying under the radar for the Falcons, putting up unbelievable numbers. You know, guys like Vinny Balone just overshadowing this Grant Hitchcock, but maybe not tonight. Maybe tonight's the night that G. Hitchcock gets a bid to the big dogs of the Valley. We'll have to tune in and find out. Number 7, Girard, D4, Region 13, still your number 1 team, the Girard Indians in that region, even after a loss to South Range. Wow. Indians must be pretty doggone good if they can suffer a loss by that magnitude and still a team smaller than them and still be number 1. Number 6, Warren JFK, D7, Region 25. They are number 1 and still number 1 after suffering a loss to Mogador. 11.5 points for JFK. Trust me, the Eagles keep flying. Ursuline, number 5. Even after a huge win over Cheney, they rank lower with a Region 9, number 5 ranking, 11.7 points. I'll tell you what, I got to watch that and just be a fan. Ursuline and Cheney, what a game. What an absolute gem of a football game. Everything you could ever wanted, you got. And you had some great Tier 1 announcers. And The camera work by Richie Giuliano was amazing. Like, I told him he should win an Emmy for it. In a great game nonetheless. And obviously there was a lot of chirping going back and forth about officiating and things of that nature. It's never going to be perfect. Ursuline gets it this year. Congratulations to both teams, because Cheney, we haven't heard their name yet to this point. A couple minutes left. Austintown Fitch at number 4. D2, Region 5, they're listed at number 4, 12.18 points. Man, like, I don't know. Like, I'm not a one of those guys that do beep, boop, beep, boop, boop, numbers. Like, we got a bunch of those guys that work here. Swiney is really our guy that breaks this down. But I got to be honest with you, I don't understand how Fitch loses to a team that beat the best team in the state and doesn't get buco points from it. I don't get it. I don't have to. It's not my job. I'll argue for them. They hung with Massillon. They hung with the best of the best. And Massillon beat St. Ed's, who is the best of the best, essentially. Don't understand how Fitch doesn't get more points from that. But I digress. Number 3, Cheney, Division 3, Region 9. Number 4, 12.2 points. Cheney Cowboys, they have cowboyed up. They have answered the bell every single time. One loss on their resume, and it's to Ursuline. And I know that's going to leave a bad taste in the mouth of the Cowboys across the board. Expect them to bounce back against Painesville-Harvey this week. Even on the road this week, Cowboys are going to be as dangerous as they've ever been. Down to the top 2. Number 2, the South Range Raiders. Division 5, Region 17, number 1. Numero uno. The South Range Raiders, we've already talked about them. We don't need to go into it. All I'll tell you is tonight at Legends, 7:30, you can hear from the man. You can be with the man at Legends. Again, 7:30 tonight, the South Range show, 7:30. Be there. Ask a question. Be there. The food is amazing. The wait staff is amazing. And you get to talk about Raider football. Be there. Be there for that. Or if you're not there, you got some time, go to the Golden Dawn. Stevie and the Ursuline Irish going to be live and in person over at the Golden Dawn. Johnny Naples, thank you again for everything you do for us and for Ursuline. The number 1 team, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the number 1 team, Region 9, District 3, number 1. 14.42 points. The Canfield by God Cardinals. Ladies and gentlemen, all of the haters just went, hush, hush. Listen, Canfield's just sitting there saying, can't hate me because you ain't me. The Cardinals have done everything they've had to do. They've gone on the road. They've played teams that they've got pretty much no business playing. You want to play, they'll play you in a phone booth. They'll play you in a parking lot. They'll play wherever. They just go about their business. Coach Pavlansky, one of the best in the business, just continues to put his team out there, and they just keep drumming up wins. Danny Inglis, congratulations. I saw that you were offered by Iowa State. The pipeline and the region is going to come through Canfield. Congratulations, Cardinals. That is your top 32 teams that would make the playoffs from the YSN family. We're going to skip what is typically the What's Your Spark segment today. We'll make it up to our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric for anything commercial, residential, anything electrical. Go to DickeyElectric.com. We're past the bell here, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it all. As always, Richie will be in tomorrow. We'll talk shop. We'll talk anything you want to talk about that is local, live, and loyal right here on YSN. I'm DJ Yoakley. Peace be with you. Have a great night. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation